Welcome back to the Explainer. So today we're diving into a source text that literally flips how we think about our life's work completely on its head. We're talking about a massive shift here. We're moving away from the exhausting, endless act of just hoarding stuff and stepping into something much bigger, intentional legacy building. We're going to look at the absolute ultimate physical constraint we all face and how acknowledging it actually sets us free to convert our temporary, everyday energy into enduring, systemic value. Let's get right into it. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the zero-sum equation. Zero. That is the magic number here. The source text anchors itself on this totally unyielding physical law. At the exact moment of death, all of your accumulated material assets equals zero. Period. Every single piece of currency, every status marker, every fancy consumer asset you acquire, these are all just leased assets. You don't actually own them. You are literally just renting them from the universe for a tiny fraction of cosmic time. When your life ends, your bank balance, the luxury goods, the whole shebang, instantly wiped from your personal ledger. It's a pretty harsh reality to face, for sure, but it is an absolutely essential baseline for what we're about to build. So when you look at your life trajectory through that lens, you basically see two distinct paths. Option A is hoarding. If you spend your elite cognitive capital and all your physical drive solely to stack up material objects, well, you're operating on a highly flawed investment strategy. Why? Because as we just established, it gets wiped to zero the second you die. But then look at option B, translation. This right here is the high leverage strategy. You translate your life's energy, while you still have it, into an enduring legacy that actually breaks through that terminal barrier. Option B ensures that your impact endures and scales way, way long after you're gone. Moving right along to Section 2, the architecture of legacy. Now, the text makes a really great point here. A true legacy isn't some abstract monument, right? It's not just slapping your name on a brick building and calling it a day. Real legacy is what's called structural architecture. It's the transmission of optimized data, functional systems, and untethered leverage to those who come next. You're fundamentally changing the structure of the world. And to make this actionable, the author breaks this permanent legacy down into 3 unkillable vectors. Let's look at the first one. Vector 1 is your data legacy. Think of this as the hard-won data you've managed to extract from your own personal failures, your deep research protocols, and your multi-decade battles with everyday friction. When you synthesize these experiences into frameworks, when you write down your actual operational protocols or mentor the next generation, you're effectively exporting your high-value source code. You're handing the next generation a literal cheat code. It allows them to start their ascent from your peak rather than having to start all over again from the absolute bottom of the valley. Next up, we have Vector 2, biological and health infrastructure. And this goes beyond just the mind, it goes straight into the physical vessel. By ruthlessly optimizing your own physical health, mastering your metabolic baseline, and building real discipline, you actively alter the trajectory of your entire lineage. You pass down optimized epigenetic expressions. I mean, think about that. The healthy lifestyle choices you're making today actually alter the biological blueprints you hand down to your kids. You're building this culture of absolute self-sovereignty that insulates your descendants from the physical and psychological diseases of the modern crowd. And the final piece of the architecture is Vector 3, systemic leverage, or the infrastructure of freedom. This means creating sovereign financial runways, business enterprises, and community governance structures that completely outlive your individual involvement. When you build a system that generates value, protects resources, and fosters critical thinking completely independent of your daily presence, well, you've successfully manufactured a true, untethered engine of lasting impact. Okay, let's pivot a bit to Section 3, the urgency reframe. It's a super fair question, right? A lot of people hear that we can't take anything with us, and they fall straight into this trap. They ask, well, if nothing lasts, why bother working hard at all? Why not just coast, do the bare minimum, and just consume instant pleasures? Let's see exactly how the sovereign individual handles this exact calculation. The text absolutely shatters that objection with this idea. Complacency is an insult to your biological potential. The sovereign individual doesn't use the certainty of our final deadline as an excuse to just quit. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. They use it as a hyperpotent, massive motivator. Because your time is strictly finite, this terminal framework strips away all your minor distractions, your low-stakes anxieties, and all those petty social dynamics. It focuses your attention with laser-like precision, entirely on the macro time frame. All right, bringing it all together in Section 4, the 100-year protocol. Let's see how this all builds into a totally actionable 3-step legacy protocol. This is the exact mechanism that permanently shifts you from being just a passive collector of things into an active architect of legacy. We're going to break down each of these 3 steps: running the audit, documenting the code, and out-providing your existence. Step 1 is the 100-year audit. Look at your current top priority projects, the ones sitting on your to-do list right now. Now, I want you to project your mind forward exactly 1 century after your last day on Earth. Ask yourself, will the outcome of this specific task still be compounding and providing utility, or will it just be completely forgotten noise? If it's noise, you have to ruthlessly streamline it, automate it, or just delegate it. You need to allocate your highest leverage cognitive hours exclusively to building structural assets that will outlast your own lifetime. Then we hit step 2, which is to ruthlessly document the code. It's funny, we're so quick to back up our computer hard drives, but we almost never document the hard-won expertise locked inside our own heads. Treat your mind as an open-source library that must be fully indexed before you inevitably go offline. Write down your protocols, document your business workflows, record your insights, and build incredibly clean systems. You want to ensure that if you were magically removed from the equation tomorrow, your network wouldn't collapse. It would just continue to execute and scale effortlessly, entirely based on the strength of the architecture you left behind. And finally, step 3, out-provide your existence. Every single day, you've got to remind your ego that you are an instrument for a mission that is vastly bigger than you. Your wealth, your health, your focus, they aren't toys meant to pamper your ego. They are operational assets meant to be utilized for elevating those around you. The goal here is uncompromising detachment. It's about living with such a massive volume of disciplined execution that your net output to the world vastly exceeds whatever you personally consume. Which leaves us with this final, ultimate question. When you finally accept that your physical presence is temporary, but the signal, the data, and the architecture you leave behind can echo across the terrain forever, well, you kind of strip death of its sting. So I'm going to leave you with this challenge, straight from the source text. What can you build today that will keep screaming your intent long after you're gone? Start your architectural build today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to explore our next topic with you.